that we're expecting to show up. First order of business, I'm going to move right down the agenda to reorganization from 2024 to 2025. So I'll open it up for discussion.
For chairman?
Yes, sorry, for chairman. It's been fun while I've been chair, but I would like to have somebody else take over the reins if we have a nomination, which I would like to nominate Tom, but would hear any other discussion on anybody else for chairman.
I'll second the nomination.
Discussion, questions? All right. I will go ahead and call for a vote to have Tom step up as chairman from vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right.
Motion passes 4-0.
Yep.
And then I'd like to nominate Dave Loudsbury as vice chair.
I'll second the nomination.
Nomination and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 4-0. And then we're gonna leave Dan in place as treasurer.
Okay. All right, Tom. Well,
I think, so
as chair, do you want to take over the rest of the meeting?
I'll do that,
Okay.
okay? If that's okay.
Yes, please.
All right, sounds good. All right, then from a treasurer standpoint, I'll nominate Dan Trump for treasurer of our organization.
I'll second.
Got a second from Mr. Lundy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. Okay, standing committee reports. Does the least,
We got to appoint Cindy.
oh, well, we're gonna keep her on as secretary? Okay. I'll nominate Cindy Schweitzer as our secretary.
Second.
Okay, and I have a second from Mr. Enoch. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay. Now that we have that technicality out of the way. Lease negotiating and real estate committee, report from Mr. Trump or Mr. Krimmel, neither of which are here tonight. So I don't think we have any report coming our way there, right?
Right, and you also want to keep in mind, you'll need a replacement on that committee at some point,
Right,
replacing Mr. Brubaker.
okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What about the cell phone tower? Is there any update on that?
It's just there. I don't know if it's functional yet, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But they are paying rent.
Yes,
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
One other question as it pertains to real estate or lease negotiating. Our rezoning of the front portion of the property is complete, is it not?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have Finance and Operations Committee, Mr. Loudsbury, Lundy, and Enoch. And that committee will stay the same. Okay. Barn and Pro Shop future. You want to talk a little bit about?
We have one, I think. Basically, Ryan and John and I met along with members of the staff and as well as golf course employees. We interviewed the two firms that responded to the proposal which Cindy put together for an evaluation of how to handle relocation of the pro shop. Or do we, bottom line was, do we try to do something with the existing hut and modify it or build new? Both firms we interviewed indicated they felt that it would be prohibitively expensive to try to do any kind of renovations to the barn. And both felt that it was best to figure that the barn would be demolished. and that a new pro shop would be built over in the vicinity of the 10th hole. The big advantage to this approach is that you can build a new building, and then we won't impact on the operations of the pro shop, the snacks that are purchased and everything else. It can be a clean break. Go from new, and it seemed to make a lot of sense. I know Perry Ladonna felt very strongly that this was a good approach. Some of the other township people, Diane also, and Cindy felt the same way. And I know the golf course staff was in favor of that. So we had a follow-up Zoom meeting earlier this week to discuss the proposals that were received. I had an initial concern that the cost from Yo was significantly higher, more than double the cost from Cornerstone. But looking at if we took out the later phases, which they included in their proposal, took that price out, the cost came down to being closer together. It was a unanimous decision that everyone felt that we should award the contract to Cornerstone. They seem to be a little more in touch with this type of project. They brought the worker bees in that we're going to be doing and have actual, project direction. Whereas Yo, they had more of their senior administrative staff come in as well. So we all agreed at the end of the Zoom meeting that the recommendation would be to enter into a contract with Cornerstone. I feel very strongly that that contract should include the extra cost for a professional estimator to estimate a new building cost.
Okay.
As well as the cost of, demolishing the existing building. So that's the first step.
And they can do that for us.
Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you. Ryan, anything?
No, I mean, we met over at the golf course and we took them on a tour. They had a presentation and I thought they were both, well received. I just think the second group, Cornerstone, that we met with, they had a couple of more insights that I think we all liked a little bit better than Yo, which I think was the deciding factor for why we are making the recommendation for them over Yo.
Okay.
John,
John?
do you have any comments? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I agree with everything that was said. I missed that second, presentation with Cornerstone.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything. We had a good discussion the other day, so
Yeah.
I'm good with Cornerstone as well.
Okay. So for the record, it looks like Cornerstone came in at $19,150, and they have the alternate add-on, as Dave outlined, of $6,000. So we're looking at $23,000 or $24,000. Let's call in round numbers, $25,000. Let's approve. Do we need, we have the money. The money's been budgeted. We budgeted 60,000, and it looks like the project is going to cost well less than that, 25,000. So, that's a good thing. At this point, I guess we need to vote on approving Cornerstone as our architect for this project.
Authorizing to sign the contract.
All right. Okay, so want to authorize township staff to sign a contract engaging Cornerstone.
Does the township have to sign it or do we have to sign it?
We'll sign it from here.
So the authority member will sign it then?
Yeah. Right, yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, yeah. So we'll sign the necessary documents associated with the architectural review and building of a pro shop at Four Seasons Golf. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Mr. Lounsbury,
A second.
and a second from Mr. Enoch. Motion from Mr. Lounsbury, second from Mr. Enoch. Is there any other discussion that needs to happen? We do have individuals on Zoom. Anything from Zoom?
No.
No? Okay, all right, in that case, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Good work by our finance and operations people. And then we have another item here, the township maintenance facility. I believe everyone is pretty much familiar with the plan to move the maintenance facility from where it is to the corner of the sod farm, what's called the sod farm today. We are in the process of working on a contract with GSL Strategies to aid in completion of the grant application to aid in starting the project. We've got a couple of items here, property survey, which has been completed, NPDES permits, application and issued will take about 4 to 6 months. Any questions?
Just, it says surveyed 131.
It's telling you that the property survey is anticipated to be finished by 1/31.
130.
But it's already done.
No,
No?
Okay.
no.
Okay, that's the timeline.
Correct.
Okay. We'd like to see a application submitted by 3/3. Is there any reason why it would take that long to submit the application?
They're engineers. It takes a long time. They actually do the calculation for the stormwater, design the stormwater system in order to submit the MPDS.
I'm sure they have a book they can turn to on that, but that's another story. Okay, so there won't be very much happening here for 4 to 6 months from today on that site. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how long it takes. Okay, then we have, next up, we have budget reports. Our general budget report, any questions? Any questions on the capital report?
And just so you're kind of aware, that report that you have in your packet is as of 12/31. So that is kind of your year end that's unaudited. That gives you the incomes and expenses throughout the year.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions from the audience about budget, the actual reports for September? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the cash requirements. These are action items. Looks like we had about $46,000 in December invoices payable. Any questions or comments on December? And then looks like year-to-date on January, we only issued $1,800 in invoices, so I'll hear a motion to approve the December 27th through December 31st and the January 1st through January 22nd invoice payables.
Second the motion.
Motion from Mr. Lounsbury. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Lundy. All those, any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, next up, we have a LASA notice and payment situation that we have to deal with. Is everyone familiar with what's going on here? Hmm?
We talked about it at our meeting.
Okay. All right, so everyone here is familiar with it. Okay. And basically for the audience, LASA has underbilled us for about 2 years on our sewage bill to the point where we're now $41,000 behind. They've been kind enough to provide us with a payment schedule, which we'll take a look at. I'd also ask that township staff go back to them and see if maybe we could work out some other type of arrangement on the $40,000. So for now, rather than do we need to take action tonight?
You really can if I need to do some research with LASA. So it's just a pending item at this point.
Okay, yeah, it's a pending item. We tell them we need more information and
And
that'll take some time so even a payment schedule wouldn't start for a while.
so- and just so that the record's clear, it wasn't for monthly sewer, it was for EDU, excess EDUs, equivalent dwelling units. Our flows are higher than they were several years ago. And so we're using more EDUs, which is where the charge comes in.
Okay,
I can't get the payment schedule to open on this, but is it,
you're right.
do they have interest or anything that,
No,
so you didn't just, how far out is the payment schedule? Are they allowing you to go?
a year, I believe.
Well, what she told me was option one would be a 12-month or possibly up to an 18-month payment plan.
Okay,
And then the other option is to make defer the payments for 12 months. And then it would be a 24-month, it would be payments made within 24 months. A total of 24 months of payments starting in a year.
Well, they did give us an option to defer this.
Yes, for 12 months.
All right, so we have some options that we need to consider. Or that we can consider.
I think we also need to get in touch with Blue Collar and explain to them that, you know, this increase in tapping fees is due to their increase in flow, which is close to tripled from in the 2 years. And I feel that they would be responsible for the majority, if not all of this increase. And if Les is gonna offer them, you know, if they're gonna offer us a 12 or a 24-month period for payment, that they wouldn't have to outlay all the money that we're asking them to at one time.
Okay.
only thing I'm concerned about in that situation is I think by the time that this would kick in is when they are supposed to start giving us revenue percentages. So we have a fixed amount now. I think the revenue percent kicks in this year.
This year.
So then I just
But if you
want
take,
to just be aware that we're going to be then asking them for
Well,
more money for the
but if you
rent.
take a look at the percentage of what their revenues are, if you go with you know, whatever it is a month, if you go with, you know, a couple of $1,000s a month, in the big picture of the income they're earning, that's really literally not a lot. It's
Mhm.
not like we're gonna ask them to, you know, reduce their profits by 50%. So I think the approach is approach them and see what they think. And then, you know, maybe we negotiate a percentage of the amount due attributable to them.
I think it certainly makes sense moving forward to adjust whatever we have been charging them on the LASA side of the picture. Up until now, though, I think is another question. But I think, you know, certainly, I mean, utilities go up. This utility went up. They're responsible for the utilities.
Just to clarify on that, they actually do pay what their portion is of the utilities. This issue is more of a permit issue because we have to be permitted for the number of units that we use. And because this started, I mean, our permit was originally purchased in 1976. So it's been pretty steady up until 2022.
Yep.
Which is when, blue collar really started to get in and get busier. So it's not actually the actual water usage, it's the permit usage that this $41,000 is a charge for.
But it's solely due to them. If you take that approach, it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
if,
is.
if they had done this gradually every year, they would have paid it.
And that was a discussion that I did have with, I believe her name is Cassie, that they analyze it every 3 years. So they have a historical 3-year period. And that's why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because this is not something that was expected at all. This letter just was delivered. And so when I started checking into it, that's what I was told, is that they do an analysis every 3 years. So if their water usage stays roughly the same, we're then going to be permitted for what our largest usage would be the 3,919 units. So as long as they stay roughly about that going forward, it would be a minimal increase.
But the amount of sewage that we're using has nothing to do with it.
Correct. It's the number of permitted gallons.
It does, because our volume has increased. The number of EDUs that we are using and permitted for needs to go up.
So going
The way- the
forward,
way-
you
the
still
way
have
this
that
works-
same rate, won't you?
The sewer rate will stay the same as everybody else's sewer rate. But everyone that buys into the system has to buy EDUs. And so a residential house coming onto the system buys 1 EDU and they're fine.
Yep.
If that house all of a sudden turns into 5 apartments, they're going to catch that in 3 years and say your use has increased to the point of being more than 1 residential unit. We are not going to charge you 4 more for those 4 extras. And that's what they're doing for us. Our EDUs have increased based on flow.
So is this a one-time charge that we don't expect is gonna creep up again in the future,
Will
or?
creep up.
It will, technically what's going to happen is our units are going to go from 1,400 units, which is what our permit is currently. And what we're going to do, what this $41,000 does, is buys up to 3,919 units.
Buys capacity.
So we then have, if we continue roughly at gallons per day of roughly the 3,900, then there won't be additional charges. However, if the gallons used ranges higher than that, goes above that, then after this 3-year period, they'll do another analysis, and that's when it could go up.
We pay $41,000. We get 3,900 EDUs and there are no additional charges that
That-
blue collar has to worry about for the next 3 years.
But what drives this is all the municipalities, all the municipalities and municipal agencies like LASA have to submit a report yearly to the DEP. It's called Chapter 94 report. And it's a 5-year moving average. They look at, your permitted capacity and flow, okay? And what your actual flows are, and then you're supposed to project out for a certain number of years what your anticipated flow increases are gonna be. The whole idea is it gives the DEP a better idea of when the facility might reach its ultimate treatment capacity. And when you get close to that time, it triggers the fact where LASA would, or the agency would have to undertake a study to address, how they're gonna handle this increase in flow. So LASA is being pressured by DEP. They have to do this. It's a requirement every year to submit it. And the idea is that if a developer were to come in and put a, put a development in, that LASA would assess the developer so much per EDU to recover some of the costs that LASA has already incurred for building the facility to handle the flow. Is how it works.
It's very similar to what SRBC does when we withdraw water. If we withdraw too many gallons of water from the groundwater, they would charge us extra because our permit doesn't allow, has a
So,
limit.
but we are processing gallons of waste. Well, David, it sounds like you've got some experience on this. We're gonna,
Poop, yeah. Lucky me.
Water's expensive.
And getting rid of it's even
Getting
more
rid of it,
expensive.
yeah.
all right, so we're gonna look at this for another month and see if we can come up with something that, will meet everyone's expectations. And try to get it resolved as soon as possible. All right. Next up, we have board vacancy. As everybody, I think, knows, Doug Brubaker stepped off the board after, I guess, being on the board since its inception and certainly involved in the whole golf course sod farm situation, for a long time. We want to express our appreciation, the board's appreciation for everything that Doug has contributed through the years on the Recreation Authority, as well as being a supervisor for East Hempfield Township. We have one candidate for the position on the board. Doug Rhodes. I spoke to Doug, I've spoken to Doug over the phone. I have spoken to him today. He could not be here tonight. I'd ask everyone, how you'd want to move forward with this nomination to the board. Do you want to wait till the next meeting to bring him on? I think everyone got a copy of his resume, right?
Yes, it's part of your packet.
Yeah, so, should we name him to the board tonight? Any questions or comments?
Do we want to interview him like we did the last vacancies that were filled, or since it's just one person?
We have one person, he's a golfer. But he's been a township resident for many years. Has had children in the Hempfield schools. He's been part of the HYA football and baseball. He serves on the Landisville Elementary School PTA. He's active in the Zion Lutheran Church Council. He's the treasurer of the Landis Farm HOA, which is right back here. He's a certified PIAA football official. I know he's also a golfer, so I know he has an interest in the golf course. I've known him casually as a business associate for 10 years, maybe. And I think he is known by others here on the board this evening. John?
Yeah, I've known Doug for 30 years. I mean, our
Okay.
kids all grew up playing baseball and football, the whole way through high school. Brett and Kyle and Ryan. And so he's a good guy. He's got a good business background, sort of diverse, little bit of everything, so.
So this particular appointment will be for how long, Mrs. Schweitzer?
5 years.
5 years.
And what you would be doing is recommending to the Board of Supervisors to make the appointment.
All right, so let's do that. Because we have a board meeting next week. So I'll hear a motion to nominate Doug Rhodes as a member of the Recreation Authority.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second,
got a motion from Mr. Lounsbury, a second from Mr. Enoch. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And we'll move that to the Board of Supervisors at Tuesday's meeting. Okay. All right, next up, we've got a golf operations update. Jim, you out there? Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. No update. Just cranking the heaters up to get the snow out of here.
Okay. Looks like we had a decent, December. Anything that accounts for the significant number of season passes that were sold this year versus previous years? Big jump.
It's all in the timing. Some of the years guys sign up at the later in the year versus by the end of the year. So it's all timing with those, but we did have a jump. We've got some new members plus the increase on the membership.
So you did increase the price this year in the membership? Or you were planning to? These people getting in before the increase?
No, we've already increased it and renewed everybody by the end of the year. So now it'll just be new members signing up once we get open again.
Okay. Quick question for you on merchandise and food. How much employee burden does that put on you? Keeping that operating each month? Is it, I guess, doesn't look like we do a whole lot. Is it worth doing out of the pro shop? And is it necessary?
The way we have it set up now, it is necessary. I mean, we've got to offer something to the golfers. I mean, the burden is more on between maintenance and us with the trash that's accumulated. Essentially, we're not accumulating any trash, but we're taking care of all the trash from the food and beverage, plus paying for the dumpsters.
Okay. Anything from the board on the golf report? Anything from the audience? Zoom? Okay. All right. Thank you, Jim. So moving on to a new business, looks like we have a new pro shop employee, Jim.
Yeah, we're looking to promote. He's been with us a couple of years, but he's had some interest in Tim's position. So he's currently working full-time for another company, but he's looking to get in the golf industry full-time. He's helped out and started in carts. He's worked in the pro shop. He's helped with the junior camps, and he's helped with tournaments. So I definitely feel, and John does as well, that he'd be an asset for the golf course and the township. We can't match, I don't think we can match what he's currently making full-time, but I think a fair offer for him is the 17 an hour. And we're looking to bring him on by February 10th. That way it gives us time to do some training. John's got a vacation planned, and then I'm getting eval'd for a hip surgery or replacement. So we'd like to get him up and going before any of that stuff happens.
Full-time employee?
Yeah, he'd be the same as Tim was, full-time. He won't take advantage of benefits currently, so he'll opt out of those most likely the first couple of years.
Okay, well, that'll help.
And we can offset the additional cost through savings in labor. It won't be a problem.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be looking for him to start February the 10th, huh?
Yes, that would be ideal.
Good, good. Okay, any comments on our new employee in the pro shop?
We need a motion to approve it.
No,
Not really,
no.
no. It just really was advisement that we filled that position.
Okay. All right, next up, we have minutes of previous meeting, November 26th, 2024. Approval of those minutes. Any questions from anyone? Hearing none, I'll hear a motion to approve the minutes of the November 26th meeting.
That's my favorite motion.
Okay, well, we're not there yet, Dave. We know there's one more that you like.
I was absent and
Okay. Can we still approve with,
You'll have to vote.
yeah, we have to vote on this, but Ryan wasn't here.
there'd only be 3 votes.
There'll only be 3 votes. Heck,
Vote.
it's gonna
Go
work.
ahead and vote, Jay.
We'll vote.
Yes.
Okay, I'll hear a motion to approve the minutes of the November 26th meeting.
Second.
A motion from Mr. Lounsbury, a second from Mr. Enoch. Any questions from anywhere? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstention. Next up, we have public comment. Is there any public comment this evening?
Don't believe so.
No? Okay. Now we get to the point in the meeting that you like, Dave. Okay, anything else for the good of the cause, guys, this evening? Okay, hearing none, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Favorite motion.
Okay, Dave, motion from Mr. Lounsbury, a second from Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I did